Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true. Body of newborn discovered in Rayakobre. The St. Catherine North Police have launched an investigation into the circumstances surrounding the discovery of a newborn floating in the Rayakobre in the vicinity of Bucktown, St. Catherine, Wednesday afternoon. The body, said to be that of a female baby, was discovered about 1:30 p.m. and the St. Catherine Fire Brigade called. The newborn was fished from the river by a resident after members of the fire brigade were unable to retrieve the body. The police believe the baby was thrown into the river elsewhere and floated to the location where it was discovered. Son killed at mother's grave digging in Hanover. The police in Hanover are probing the shooting death of a man last night at a grave digging for his mother. He is Everton James, otherwise called Shortman or Go, of Green Island in the parish. The shooting happened in the community about 9 o'clock. James, who resides in England, returned to Jamaica last month to complete funeral arrangements for his mother, Hortense James, who died on August 10 after ailing for some time. She is to be buried on Saturday. Following grave digging activities by James and community members, a gunman came on the scene and opened fire, hitting him. James succumbed. His death has devastated his family. Hotel worker killed, 3 injured in St. James crash. A woman was killed in St. James early Thursday morning after the car she was traveling in crashed into vehicles parked along the Tucker Main Road. 3 others were also injured in the crash and remain in hospital. The deceased has been identified as 21-year-old Santavia Willock, a hotel worker at Kensington District St. James address. It is reported that about 12:45 a.m., Willock and 3 other passengers were traveling in a Toyota motor car towards Adelphi when the driver reportedly lost control and crashed into a tractor-trailer and a Nissan boat parked along the roadway. Willock, who sustained severe head injuries, died on the spot. The 3 other passengers, who also sustained injuries, were transported to the Conway Regional Hospital. The scene was processed and the woman's body was removed to the morgue for a post-mortem examination. The driver of the Toyota motor car has since been warned for prosecution. Cops probe death of recently released prisoner. Police are probing whether the killing of a man in Portland Cottage, Clarendon on Tuesday had anything to do with his recent release from prison. Donovan Sinclair, otherwise called Dada, a laborer from Belgium Street in the community, was attacked and shot to death while walking along the Portland Cottage main road. Reports indicated that about 8:20 a.m., Sinclair was walking on the roadway when he was pounced upon by men on foot who were armed with guns. The men opened gunfire, hitting him in the upper body and head, killing him on the spot. They then made their escape on foot in the area. The police were summoned and, on their arrival, Sinclair was seen lying on his back in blood with what appeared to be gunshot wounds to the upper body and head. Police said a blue peak hat and a right foot of black Louis Vuitton sneakers were also found on the scene. Sinclair, the police disclosed, was recently released from prison, having served several years for a 7-year sentence for armed robbery. This is one of the possible angles the police are looking into. Cockapee murderer charged over alleged lockup altercation with cops. Rushane Barnett, the man who pleaded guilty to the murder of a mother and her 4 children in Clarendon, has been charged following an alleged confrontation with cops at the Halfway Tree lockup. The police report that the incident occurred as personnel sought to recover contraband Barnett allegedly had in his possession. Head of the St. Andrews Central Division, Senior Superintendent Marlon Nesbitt, told reporters that items including a cellular phone were seized. He, however, did not reveal the other items. Barnett was charged with assaulting a police officer and possession of contraband arising from the incident, which happened on Tuesday. There was an altercation in the cell among some prisoners, a general disturbance, and an inspector intervened. In the process, the person realized that Rushane Barnett was acting suspiciously, so she interfaced with him. He got boisterous. She called for help and they searched him and found contraband items on him, which included a cellular phone, he said. According to him, Barnett assaulted the policewoman and threw an item that had some juice in it at the other cops. Nesbitt said his team handled the matter professionally, adding that Barnett was not hurt in the altercation. He said he will be placed before the court to answer to the charges. We were able to manage the situation, so it didn't have to reach to any conflict, he said. Barnett in July pleaded guilty to the murders of Clarendon mother, Kimisha Wright, Kimanda Simit 15, Shirley Simit 12, Rafaela Simit 5, and 23-month-old Kishane Henry Jr. They were discovered inside their Cocopese home in Clarendon with chop wounds and their throats slashed on June 21. The prosecution is seeking the death penalty for his crimes. Mechanic charged for knife attack on farmer. A 28-year-old Clarendon man who is accused of attacking and stabbing at a farmer with a knife following an argument has been arrested and charged by the police. Charged with assault at common law is Mark McLean, otherwise called Hero, an auto mechanic from Union District in the parish. It was reported that about 7 a.m., both men were at the farmer's residence when an argument developed between them. The police said during the argument, a knife was drawn and used to stab at the farmer, who was within striking distance. The farmer dodged the attack and fled to the Frankfield police station where he lodged a report. Following investigations, McLean was picked up by the police and subsequently slapped with the charge. $175 million upgrade for a Frome police station in Westmoreland. National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang says the police in Westmoreland will not relent as they seek to combat crimes, particularly murders in the parish. Chang says the government is committed to boosting resources to help make communities safer. Included in that move in the construction of a new police station in Frome, which saw groundbreaking being broken yesterday morning. The new facility is to be constructed at a cost of $175 million under the Security Ministry's Project Rebuild, Overhaul and Construct, with funding from the National Housing Trust. The construction phase has already started and is expected to be completed within the next 30 months. The project will see the construction of a 2-story building outfitted with living quarters, detention cells, and an administrative department. The compound will also get a new sewer disposal system, increasing parking and new walls. Chang lamented about crime in the parish and the impact on the residents. There is a sense of fear and almost terrorism hitting out people in some areas in Westmoreland where homicides have increased, Chang said. Over 103 murders have been recorded in Westmoreland since the start of the year. Montague lashes commercial banks over poor service. The Member of Parliament for St. Mary Western, the Jamaica Labour Party Robert Montague, on Wednesday blasted the country's commercial banks, accusing them of putting profits above people as he ripped into their poor customer service. Montague went on the offensive side while making his maiden contribution to the State of the Constituency debate in the House of Representatives. Speaking on behalf of his constituents, he urged Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark and the Bank of Jamaica BOJ to take steps to ensure that the banks live up to the terms of their license. The people in Western St. Mary are having a hard time with their banking needs as the commercial banks have all gone cashless and are charging fees as if it's going out of style. We are of the view that the banks are putting profits over people, the former Minister of National Security stated. He was particularly peeved that banks were charging interest on so-called dormant accounts. I am told that the banks credit your account at least twice per year with interest. If this be so, it means that every account has activity at least 2 times per year. If this is true, how then can an account be dormant? On what basis are they charging a dormancy fee? Montague questioned. He argued that if there is no activity on these accounts, the banks need to tell us what they do with interest earned from these accounts. If you lend out people's money and don't give back a portion of the interest earned, it's not only fraud, it's downright robbery, he declared, while urging Clark and the BOJ to investigate and fine the banks. Plus, every dormant fee charged in the last 7 years must be returned with interest. This is a formal report on the matter. If the banks refuse to pay back and stop the practice, then Minister Clark, you must then report the matter to the police, Montague added. He told his government colleagues that it was time poor suffering bank customers get some redress, and that's why we are turning to you. Montague also charged that banks were being carefree with the personal information of their customers. He said that when customers lodge money at ATMs, the banks now give my money to a third party to collect, count and credit to my account. My information is in the hands of a BPO, business process outsourcing, operator without my knowledge or consent. If this third party does not lodge my money on time, the bank then goes ahead and charge overdraft fees, again, no operating standard. Continuing, he said, "My information can be sold to lottery scammers. They are now scamming in Ireland. A new industry has started. Many people are seeing funds going missing, credit cards running up massive balances, and all kinds of funding activities on their accounts. But the bank don't hold themselves liable. They hold the people of Western St. Mary and other rural towns liable. The Minister of Finance and the BOJ must act," he said. And Montague suggested that a double standard existed in the way banks are treated when compared to how operators of public passenger vehicles, in particular taxi operators, are treated. Stating that the possession of a banking license was a privilege, Montague noted that the issuer of the license, the BOJ, can rein in offending entity. "Don't tell me that neither you, Clark, nor the BOJ has no power to do so. The government has a big stick. Use it," Montague demanded. "How then do you run down a taxi man? He has a license too, and you beat upon him when the service is not up to par, or if he breaches. Or it's only poor people we have strength for. If you cannot touch or rein in the banks, then don't touch the taxi operators. There must be one rule, one principle for all," the Western St. Mary MP said. He said the banks should be given 60 days to get their house in order. He said he was only asking for better customer service from the financial institutions and insisted that they must be operating standards and penalties if they are breached. He told the House that his constituents were calling for a longer transition period before the bank goes cashless. "We agree that going cashless is the way of the future, but the move is too sudden. Older persons are being forced to expose their account information and PIN because they can't manage the ATM process. People are at the ATM willing and waiting to assist them, then thief them money," he said. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the